finally say, okay, we're going to focus on this thing, and then what happened? What happened after that?
So then, I mean, by and large, we like set out keyboards and like typed, and like 99.9% of the time was spent doing that. And I guess by the time the summer started, we had a waiting list of, I can't remember how many people, but like some number of thousand people.
And this is just spreading. I mean, how do you get 1,000
like
people?
word of mouth.
Word of mouth. You have a website that has a sign up page. Put your email here,
exactly.
or we'll email you when
friends
it's ready.
had told other friends and this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But we couldn't have them use Stripe because I mean, well, I guess told you sort of how the account creation process actually happened in the background.
Sure.
And so we sort of like convinced ourselves that there might be something interesting here, but now we had to sort of actually go and build the infrastructure to make it work. And so we decided at the end of that summer that we would sort of go and take this seriously. We'd go and build that infrastructure and figure out, whatever it is that we need to learn, and actually launch it properly. And so we took some investment. Y Combinator, Peter Thiel, Elon Musk, Sequoia, Andreessen Horowitz, and a few others invested in our seed round.
Anybody we've heard of?
And then we basically spent the next, I think it was 14 months, building the infrastructure that could actually make this work. So from like August 2010 to the end of September 2011, it was like building infrastructure, and then we finally launched it to the public. I think it was the 30th of September. So
2011.
2011. So like just over 6 months ago.
So walking back to that point of raising, tell us how did those types of conversations start? So you already know Paul, they've invested in you. Some of these maybe were some of your previous investors, but like you go and you meet with Peter Thiel, and what happens? Is it walk us through your first meeting with Peter Thiel?
So I remember being very critical of PayPal, and then sort of halfway through the meeting being like, maybe not the best strategy.
Wrong deck.
Right. Mostly I remember him thinking that a lot of the things we were doing that I thought were a bad idea, him thinking they were a good idea, and sort of vice versa. And that being sort of pretty interesting. And so at the time, we sort of wanted to have this forcing function that to sort of encourage us to make the product really good. And so we charged 5% plus 30 cents for every transaction, which is like way more than anyone else charged to process online payments. And sort of our thinking was that, well, we don't want anyone to use us like because of the cost, and so rather than try to be even competitive, we just price it like way higher than everyone else, and kind of until people were willing to use it and like pay that large premium, the product sort of wasn't sufficiently better. But we didn't really think of it as sort of like a viable long-term strategy. And I remember Peter arguing that it quite possibly could be, and that that could be like a really interesting business model.
Yeah, basically you'd provide a better customer service, better experience,
right.
And you could charge a premium
and
for
just kind of have a fundamentally different business model to like every other payments company. And I guess I also remember Peter being just like smart and decisive, and so within like 2 hours of meeting, he had agreed to invest. And we did like tons of other meetings, and like lots of people had told us that like this was not even possible, or like the million reasons we would fail, whereas Peter pretty emphatically was like, okay, I will invest. And I think that I think really changed our trajectory.
And so you also took Y Combinator money, but you didn't go through the program again. You'd been through it, right? And
that's right. Yeah.